Once, a student of the Baal Shem Tov asked him, "What is my purpose? What will be my meaning in life?" The Baal Shem Tov responded, "Yihyeh chazan, you'll be a cantor." The student responded, "But I don't know how to sing." The Baal Shem Tov responded to him, "Akshor otcha leolam hanigun." I will connect you to, I will bring you to the world of nigun, to the world of music, and you'll sing. As the story goes, according to those who knew this chazan, it ended up that there was no one in the world who could sing and play as beautifully as him. The chazan, whose name was Mendel, left from the community of the Baal Shem Tov and hired mishorerim. Now, this is a piece of cantorial history that before we had pulpit cantors or Rav Chazans, as it were, Chazanim would travel town to town. They would hire mishorerim. They would hire two singers to daven with, to sing with. So they would go, the three of them. So Mendel, the Chazan, left from the community of the Baal Shem Tov and hired mishorerim. One was called a bas, like a bass, like a deep voice singer, and one was just called zinger, singer. And they set out traveling to many towns and cities to sing and to daven over Shabbatot. He was known as Chazan Shel Habesht, the Baal Shem Tov's Chazan, and this name preceded him. So week after week, he and his little group were greeted with much honor, always being asked to lead davening, and so on. One week, the Chazan arrived at Lizhensk, the community of Rabbi Elimelech, with his mishorerim, and there was some argument, there was a disagreement, a little controversy between Rabbi Elimelech and his son about whether or not to honor the Chazan by having him daven Kabbalat Shabbat. Rabbi Elimelech wasn't really one for cantors, all the more so a cantor with these two mishorerim he had shown up with, and he wasn't going to ask this strange new cantor to lead davening. He was worried the Chazan would disturb him, would pull him out of the focus and the holiness of Shabbat. But they knew he was a Chazan Shel Habesht, the Baal Shem Tov's Chazan. So out of great honor or fear, and as a kavod to the Baal Shem Tov, they agreed to honor him. They asked him to lead Kabbalat Shabbat that Friday night. And when the Chazan began to pray, Lavash Rabbi Elimelech hitorut Rabbah, Rabbi Elimelech experienced a great awakening, an incredible joy enveloped him. As the text of the story says, he felt a great light and holiness, a divine illumination to the point of exhaustion. And he was concerned, Kit, batel mi mitziut, mi godel or ukedusha ve'erot elohiyut. He was concerned his soul would literally leave his body. Shaya niftach l'Rabbeinu al yedei shirot shel tzadik zeh. That his soul would leave his body because of the great music of this Chazan. It was so powerful that Rabbi Elimelech jumped up and made the Chazan stop davening. It was too much to bear. And so for the rest of Shabbat, they made sure to honor the Chazan, Mendel, however they could, but they did not let him daven again. At this point, I think it's pretty clear this is a story about the power of music, of singing together, what music can do and how it can move us. Maybe it's an advertisement for cantors too. Appropriate for Shabbat Shira, nevertheless, a discussion about the power of music, how it can move us, how it can ground us. But the story doesn't end there. Ulyamim niftar oto Chazan. After some time, the Chazan died. Uvetoch shloshim liftirato be'erev Shabbat Kodesh, and during shloshim, within the first 30 days after his death, on erev Shabbat, on Friday afternoon, Kishba hamishorer habas shelo, when the bas, one of these singers, came back from showering and from the mikveh preparing for Shabbat, he said to his wife, "Mahari v'kar'i li a chevra kedisha." Hurry, go to the chevra kedisha and get tachrichin for me. Get the shrouds or the garments that we bury people in, and wrap me in them. Ki kivdu et Chazan began Eden lekabel Shabbat, because they are honoring the Chazan in heaven by having him daven Kabbalat Shabbat, ve'eno rotzeh ela imi, and he wouldn't want to do it without me. And so the Mishorer lay down on his bed and died. I hope this story hits you over the head the way it did me the first time I read it. He's being asked to daven Kabbalat Shabbat, and he wouldn't want to do it without me. Just like that, this story is not only about the power of music, but about the deeply relational aspect of singing together, teaching us it's not only what we sing, but who we sing with. I mentioned this on Thursday night, quoting my mentor, Rabbi Jonah Rank, that singing is not only hidur mitzvah, beautification of divine command, but hidur kihila, beautification of our community. Certainly this means that the physical walls, that the building is made sweet by the sounds of our voices, but when I say hidur kihila, it also means that our community, the friendship, the love, the support we offer one another is solidified through sharing music. There's a certain trust associated with music, with prayer music. As shlichei tzibor, as prayer leaders, we trust that the congregation will sing along with us. We trust as we sit in the pews that if we stop singing to take a breath or to catch up in the book, our neighbors will pick up the slack. And as the kahal, as the community, we trust that the leader will bring us along with them, that they won't leave us behind. We trust the leader to bring melodies that we recognize and to teach us the ones that we don't. Speaking of melodies we recognize, there's a concept we may be familiar with called misinai music, or misinai prayer melodies. There are certain songs or tunes for prayers that are so prevalent, so famous or popular or well-known, or used widely, that it's as if they were given to our people with the Torah at Sinai. It's a phrase or a word that was kind of coined by the Maharil, a German rabbi in the 14th, 15th century. Most of these melodies, we don't know anymore who the composer was, or more accurately, we don't care. We don't give the time or the respect or the honor. It's the Misinai tune. We say it's the tune for that prayer. Some examples, though I'm sure you can think of some. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu. Yeah, good. That's just the Shema. We don't say, oh, that's the Solomon Zolzer melody for Shema. We just say, we're singing the Shema. Now, interestingly, ask me about this at Kiddush. That tune wasn't written originally for the Shema at all. Another Misinai melody, Kol Nidre Vesare. Just kidding. It's not like we can think of other melodies for Kol Nidre, right? It's the melody. It's Misinai. It's from Sinai. It's the melody for Kol Nidre. I think this is a really special thing, that there's music that is so important to us that we've forgotten everything else about it. It's a testament to the music itself. And it's part of our prayer experience. It matters that we recognize the music we pray with, that we trust that when we show up, we're going to hear Kol Nidre. Even, and this is not a Misinai tune, but on Shabbat Shira, I have to talk about some of the unique music we use here at Bethel. No synagogue in the world uses that tune other than us. I've never heard it anywhere else, but it doesn't matter, because we trust that when we come into synagogue, we will hear sounds that are familiar to us. Getting back on track, I just had to get that off my chest. But getting back on track, on one hand, the idea of Misinai music is an incredible thing. At the same time, it's a little chaval. It's a little bit too bad that so much of our important music, it's the case that we don't even know who wrote it. Especially knowing, as we do, that music is so relationship-based, so connected to with whom we sing. It feels like a shame that that information has been lost. And I wonder a little bit what it says about us as a people that we've brought along the music with us, but lost or disregarded the stories of the composers, the cantors, and the musicians who wrote it all. If music and prayer are so deeply based in trust and in relationships, in knowing each other, what could we gain? Imagine what we could gain by sitting with, singing with, learning with the composers of our prayer music. That's why you may not know this. That's why it's so exciting that we are alive right now in this moment. I'm not sure if you're aware, but we are in a golden age of Jewish music, of Jewish musicians writing Jewish liturgical settings. I'm not sure exactly when this era started or why, but there's an abundance of opportunities for us to hear and use new music in our everyday. It's an era that will be written about in years to come. Organizations like the Rising Song Institute, Zamir, Hazamir, the Jewish Studio Project, Jewish Rock Radio, Song Swap, and many more are giving the space and the resources for individuals and groups to be creative and to share that creativity with the world. Gone are the days of isolated cantors having to travel town to share their work. Today we have it at our fingertips, at our ear tips, and able to be incorporated into our prayer services almost immediately, almost in real time. Earlier this week on Thursday, two of my friends and colleagues, Josh Warshawski and David Berger, released new music albums. And these tunes are being used this weekend already in synagogues around the country. Deborah Sachs-Mintz and Nava Tehila are other musicians, groups that we are familiar with their music here in our services. Our artist in residence this weekend, Michael Harlow, shared with us at the Mishmar gathering Thursday night some of his music, nigunim, settings, melodies that we were among the first to hear. I could fill a sermon time slot just listing them. It's all around us, and it's not only in Israel, it's not only in New York or in certain select communities. We are in a moment that we will look back on and tell our grandchildren about. And we have to be ready to meet that moment. What does that mean? That we have a responsibility. We have to be willing participants in the receiving of this music. New music can be a little hard. It can take some work or some time to learn a new melody. We might feel a little bit of maybe nerves, a little bit of, oh, what's wrong with the tune we knew? And the answer is there's nothing wrong with it, but we have to ask ourselves, how much might we grow? How much greater could our spiritual, religious, and prayer practices and experience be if we take the opportunity to engage with the text and the tradition in a new way? The Maharil from earlier is quoted in the Shulchan Aruch talking about the Misinai melody for Kol Nidre. And he says that one should not diverge from that particular musical tradition. The Maharil died in 1427. The Kol Nidre melody that you and I know was written sometime between 1450 and 1550, which means that there was a prevalent, popular, widely used, to the point of Misinai melody for Kol Nidre, even before the Misinai melody for Kol Nidre. I guess my point is that we don't even know what the Misinai melodies will be in the future. What music will become the enduring, time-honored, bring your grandkids to shul and say, I learned that when I was your age, kind of music that has the lasting power to make real impressions on us and our souls. I hope we remember the tunes, and I hope we remember where they came from. Music is about trust. On this Shabbat Shira, I hope we will continue to trust each other, continue to show up, to listen, and to sing, to be willing to learn and share our voices. In the Parsha this week, our ancestors sang their first song. We can still hear its echoes even to this day. We take their voices with us, and we bring their melody with us. It's our job to add our own song, to layer our voices onto theirs. Then, and only then, will we truly celebrate our tradition. By bringing along the old with the new, we will continue to glorify this community and our God. Shabbat Shalom.